Yes. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Real Siblings. It Ain't Easy, this unconventional and unique podcast that blends real estate and lifestyle. I'm Eric. She's Donna. If you're watching, you're going to find out we have a guest. If you're listening, surprise, we got a guest. And thanks for joining us. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. I'm going to turn it over to Donna and let's get this rolling.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. So I am in Tucson and I'm super excited to introduce our guest today and tell you how we met and learn a whole bunch of stuff. So our guest today is Juliana Miguel. Thank you, Juliana, for joining us. And
Thank you very much, Donna, for having me. And
yeah.
Eric, thank you.
So Eric is always in San Antonio. I'm typically in Tucson. He's in the car today, and Juliana is in Italy, right? You're in Italy right now?
Yes,
Okay, okay.
exactly.
Yeah. So everybody, I when I was in Italy a few months ago, I we were flying on a small little kind of jumper flight to Ancona, and there were, frankly, this is my memory, Juliana, so then you can tell me if this is right or wrong. There were some
Okay.
older
Well, let's see
Italian,
if I remember.
I know. There were some older Italian men who were trying to get on before it was their turn. And you and
That's
I and
true.
that one other lady who spoke English were kind of standing there together. And I'm like, oh, they're pretending they don't know the rules, right? So
Yeah,
so you and this other woman and I talked just a little bit and we got on the plane and I said I wanted your information. So when we landed in Ancona, we traded information.
exactly. Yeah.
And then you were kind enough to meet us a week later at the end of my art class. You and Giuseppe,
Correct.
is that your boyfriend?
Giovanni.
Giovanni. Oh,
Giovanni.
I knew it was one of those
Yes.
geo names. Tell him
It
I'm
was close.
sorry.
Oh, don't worry. Oh, and he
Um,
says hi, by the way.
oh, that's awesome. So you all, part of the reason that I was excited to have Juliana here is I found out during these short encounters
Yes,
that
yeah.
she is a yacht designer, correct? Are those the
Yeah.
right words? Okay. Um,
Correct. Yes. Yeah, designer.
and she jokingly said she wasn't sure what happened when we met because she had just been flying back to Italy from from Michigan.
Yeah.
So, before we talk more about that, Juliana, behind you is a picture of an adorable little child floating in something. So, why don't you tell our listeners where you are from and kind of the little story you told me about why you wound up designing yachts?
Okay, so behind it's a photo of me, a few months old only,
Oh,
and so my parents they all love the naval industry. So as soon as I was born, a few weeks later, they gave me this tiny little blue inflatable boat, and it was one of my first gifts ever. And I always say that it's their fault that I'm in this industry that I love. Because they were the one who introduced me since my first days. And so when I'm from Brazil, and I did my university in Brazil in São Paulo. And my first day of university, it was interior design that I did. The My professor, he was explaining what our interior design does. And at that moment, he was saying all the areas that we could work. And one of those areas was also boats, was naval industry. And it's very interesting that on that time, that precise moment, I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And I told him this a few years later. And he said, really, I don't remember that. I said, I don't know if you said to everyone or only for me, but I heard it and I went for it.
so while you were in college, then did you have to switch, or did you just continue with interior design but with a focus on
I
yachts?
did interior design, the standard course from my university. And as soon as I finished, a few years later, I came to Italy to do my master degree at Politecnico. And that's where I actually learned much more about this industry.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Politecnico in what city in Italy?
So I was in Milano for
Okay.
my master. Yeah. So I studied at Politecnico from Milano.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say it was one of those that in Juliana, as Donna and I were talking about this, I said, I can't even imagine being exposed to that opportunity. That never, ever in our youth growing up in university did anybody ever say, oh, by the way, you can work in designing yachts.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
just somebody asked me that. I was telling somebody that I was going to do this, and he goes, "Are you going to buy a yacht? Like, why are you talking?" And I'm like, "I don't think so, but you know." So,
So it's very interesting. As soon as I started the university in Brazil, my parents they always had boats, small boats, and we used to go for the weekend on the boat. And it was very tiny, and we were the four of us, my parents, my brother, and I, and the dogs. And we were very squeezed on that boat. And I was always looking, oh my gosh, there's so much waste of space. There's so much more that we could do. So I already knew I wanted to work with boats. So being on that boat with my parents, with my family, has always been kind of a learning curve
that's
because I was
awesome.
always trying to, okay, how could we improve that? Because it's a nice boat, but it's missing space. Well, it's the main issue on boat space. So
Yeah, yeah. That's fascinating. So when we sat down and talked in Ancona that morning,
yeah,
I think that's when I found out you were coming from Michigan. And I was like, Michigan, because you
correct.
guys, first of all, she said it was really cute. She said, Detroit, no, it starts with an A. She barely remembered where she had been, right?
It was a crazy trip. It was 1 day and a half in the US.
Yeah,
It was like 4 days in total, 4.5 days in total of that trip, and it was touch and go, crazy. Yeah, like barely remember my name.
yeah, yeah. So we talked about the fact that she was in Ann Arbor. And immediately in my mind, I'm like, who in Ann Arbor is ordering a yacht and what do they do? And they live in Ann Arbor, which is kind of close to the
Central
great.
Lower Peninsula, which means very, very small freshwater lakes or Lake Michigan, Lake
Right.
Superior, Lake Huron,
Yeah.
and possibly on the far east side, Lake Erie.
Right. Right. But not yachting country. So I
No,
think you told me that they were designing and it would be picked up in Great Britain, but that they wanted a yacht that
Amsterdam.
they could do Scandinavia, right?
Yeah,
Like,
correct. Yeah, so this boat is being built in the Netherlands, and this owner he wants to travel a little bit also on the north of the globe. So it's a very important construction.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And you also told me that day that you had gone there with the idea that it was going to be 35 meters or something, but it wound up being bigger.
Yes,
So,
so it did started quite small, as always is with this kind of clients. When the client is doing a customized project from scratch, it's very common that the boat starts getting bigger and bigger because oh, they want more space, they want more room for the crew, for the engines, and so at the end, that boat that started from 35 meters, it ended up with almost 45 meters, so
that's
10
what I
meters
thought.
bigger.
Yeah, 10 meters more. And
Yeah.
the other thing that I had asked her, Eric, was how old is this person? Because I wanted to know whether this was young money or older money.
I'm thinking if it was in Ann Arbor, it was pizza money.
No, it could have been
Yeah.
pizza, but um,
So yeah, it's
a little
he's
older than
around
me.
mid six, late six, yeah, late 60s. Yeah.
That's what I thought you had said. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Eric, do you have questions?
Juliana, as I looked at your company profile and when I first saw your picture, and I have to say, you on video, you look exactly like the picture they have online on for the design director. It was
Yes.
uncanny. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so lifelike.
That's good.
Thank you. I did not
I,
Photoshop that.
but when I looked at it, I know they have two classes, I guess, of basic boats. The original one that goes back 75 years, and then
Hmm.
the catamaran style.
Yeah.
But both of those seem to be smaller than what you just described. Is this going to be an entirely custom yacht that the business is building?
So this is a different company. After we met, me and Donna, we met. I left the company I was working, and I decided to continue my own company. So today, I'm consulting with Revolution Marine Group. That's where you
Okay.
saw the website and so on. And today, my main focus is on the catamaran, on the 60 feet. So together with the shipyard, we are helping to improve the product. So improving the interior, the materials, the quality to bring that this project to the US market. And our first boat is coming to the US in June, late June next year in 2025.
Okay. And will that be when you say coming to the US? Is that southern coast? Is there a specific west coast? US
It's going
off
to
coast by
Florida. Yeah.
Going to
Yeah,
Florida.
sorry. It's going to
okay.
Florida.
Is
Yeah,
that why
that's
you
where
flew in that
our company.
the other week
Yeah,
when we were gonna try to do this sooner, you were flying to Miami, right? You were going, yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. So as you I'm just gonna go back to this boat for Scandin that can go north. Um
Yeah.
does insulation in a boat or ship change based on what climate and what water you want to have it in compared to like, oh, we're going to be in the Caribbean all the time, that kind of thing?
So it does change if you're, especially if you're gonna go to the extremes, to the north or the south, because you are gonna face icing. So
Mhm.
you do need to have reinforcement on the hull. So it cannot be, for example, our boats that today I'm working, it would not be advised to go there because they are not boat built for that. Of course, there are always reinforcements that you can do, but it's different. It's much
Mm,
different. So,
okay.
but the main reason is the ice breaking that you will face. And on the heating, you do have flooring heatings, you have air conditioning, hot air conditioning on the boat, so it's not an issue.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, it's only a production matter. So that's what's going to change.
And and from a style, this is the piece that if we want to relate this to selling houses at all. So I know that if somebody's buying a large RV, they can get
Hmm.
miniatures of everything that we put in our homes. So
Hmm.
does the marine market, does the ship and the yacht market have a whole place where you go and you buy products that are smaller than standard size that are specifically for a yacht? Um, how does that piece work?
So basically, most of the furniture that goes inside a boat, they are custom made
Okay.
because not only the size, but also the materials, they need to be plywood material, marine plywood material. It cannot be standard wood.
Oh,
So all the wardrobes, tables, the galley, everything is going to be custom made. Chairs, for example, are the, let's say, loose furniture that you can easily put on the boat. Those are standard furnitures. Of course, I'd rather go with products that are for outdoor, even if I'm gonna take these furnitures on the indoor, I always rather to be safe than sorrow.
Yeah.
So if my clients, they have these beautiful chairs on the salon, but one day they want to put outside because, well, more guests, they just want to increase the number of people that they can have on their table, they don't need to worry, especially with the sun. Or some salt water that can come in. And I always try to work with outdoor products, even if they're gonna go inside of the boat, because when you are on the boat, you're in the water, so you are gonna have the salt, and it's gonna damage if you
Yeah.
don't use the right products. It's gonna damage. It's basically like having a beach house.
Yeah.
You're always going to look for products for outdoor, and the boat might be similar to that.
Okay. And when you say wood, so to me, wood is wood is wood, and then there's like press board. Is it a layered product or is it something that just is reinforced on the outside on a like if you're designing the kitchen? What
No,
what does that
it's
mean?
not it's not solid wood. We are not going to use solid wood,
Okay.
or also laminated wood. We are not going to use it because whenever the water touches, it can absorb the humidity.
Ah,
So we need to be careful with the kind of wood we use
okay.
because of the humidity, which is our main issue on a boat.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Juliana,
Eh,
from a wood standpoint, I know what you just said, but is even like the base wood special to be adapted to become marine plywood? So, not a standard oak or a maple that you might have in a house, but something that's different, that's considered to be already a hardier material that then's laminated to make it even stronger?
so basically, what we use is the varnishing. We try to isolate the wood, so we
Okay.
can use on the boat. So some of the materials that you use in your home, we can also use on the boat, but they need to have some protection for that wood,
Okay.
especially for the tables. Because if my client says, I want to have a real wood table, okay, we will do it, but it needs some treatments
Yeah,
for it.
that makes sense. And
Yeah.
from a style perspective, so in Tucson especially, we have people, our population doubles in the winter, Juliana. So that means that a lot of retirees are coming from cold climates. It
Mhm.
also means that when they move here, they often bring their decorating styles from where they're coming from. So our eastern United States has way more antiques than the Southwest. And
Mhm.
our Southwest design is going to go back, kind of harken back to Native American and things like that, right? So when
Mhm.
somebody's building, does where their age or where they're from affect their style choices for what they're going to do?
Yes, it does change a lot. Especially from Europe to the US, you can see a huge difference. In Europe, you have different colors, different tones on the veneer, on the fabrics. In the US, it's much different. I think my US clients so far, I could work much more with fabrics, with colors, patterns, but the veneers being and veneers not too much dark, so quite bright boats, some darker touch, but not too much. But it's not a rule. I did had two clients with a very dark boat, very dark interior, but not classic. It was modern. So we
Modern.
were instead of using dark brown, we were using a lot of dark gray, and even in the ceilings, light medium gray, and you would have this incredible contrast, and you're like, okay, this is not the typical boat, and that's what I like to see it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does change from the US to Europe. It does change a lot to the clients. And also the age, it
Yeah.
does change.
Right. I would guess that if
Yeah.
I was a 35 or 40-year-old who could afford a yacht, I'm choosing different than what mom would choose, right?
Yeah.
I just
It does change, yeah.
thought when she was talking about the shades of gray, it's like that's the current neutral here in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not any kind of earth tone or honey or a wheat or a off white. It's shades of gray right now, and it sounds like that
Correct.
design aesthetic is they're bringing it onto their boats too.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Usually what the clients they do is they want to have the same thing that they have on their homes, they want to have on their boats.
Right.
So when we met, I was in Ann Harbor. I went to this client's home to see how they were living, to understand their taste in the interior and have a clear idea how to develop their project.
You
So it
stayed with
doesn't
them.
matter.
Didn't you say you stayed at
Yes,
their house? Yeah.
yes,
Isn't that cool,
exactly.
Eric?
They were
Yeah.
very kind, and we were at their home, and it was very important to understand their ideas. So it doesn't matter if it's a 45 meters boat, if it's just a 20 meters boat, it doesn't matter. The client, they will want to bring their touch from their home to their boat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're
I'm multiplying 45 by like three and a half to see how big that is.
Juliana.
It's
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
it's 140 feet.
140. I was gonna say I did it by
Yeah,
3 and I got with it. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So my question is, after you got your master's, how long have you been actually in the design side of things, practically, not studying?
Mhm. So before I came to Italy, I did work in one of the biggest shipyards in Brazil at the time. I worked for them for almost 1 year, but they knew I had everything set for the master degree. And so I started my career in Brazil in this industry. And my master I finalized in 2015, and since then I've been working on this industry.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
in Europe and Asia. Yeah.
practical experience.
10 years.
Yeah. The
Yeah, more than 10 years now.
question is, in that 10 years, has there been a substantial change in what people expectations, or is this a market where if you can afford a yacht in this category, there hasn't been that much of a change over 10 years? Does that make sense? I don't know if I asked that well enough to make.
Mm, let's see if my answer will answer your question. Maybe I understood. I did realize, especially working for my previous company, which was Silent Yachts, a few years. I worked for them for 4 years, and those are electric solar panel catamarans. So especially in that company, I saw a very different kind of clients where they were very interested on the sustainability. And a huge part of my job at Silent was not only developing the interior of the boat, but following the clients also to do the selections in the sustainability. It did not ended on the solar panels on the electric engines. It was
Okay.
also on the interior. So until today, I do a lot of research on sustainable materials. And I try to bring this knowledge with me everywhere I go. Now that I left the company, I try to bring to these other companies, to these other clients. And I see that this is something that more and more people are interested.
That's
Maybe
cool.
I answer your question.
Yes, I just, is it long enough? I mean, we see design trends come and go, and I, outside of the standard color palette, there are things and expectations that as we've been in our business, people have a much different expectation now than even 5 years ago, pre-pandemic.
Okay.
The idea that you have to have an office space or a flex space in the house because of what the pandemic did.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, now we have to have this because kids are homeschooling and a separate office space or something along those lines. And I'm wondering if that's your side of the industry and what you do had any kind of change, not necessarily from the pandemic, but something that now is an absolute expectation that 10 years ago when you got into it wasn't or may not even have been a thought.
Mhm. Absolutely. Most of the clients, they were interested in to know if their boats, their boat would have a space for home office, for sure. Even a few clients that I had, they were interested to develop an angle on that kids' room because they're gonna be homeschooling their kids.
On
Okay.
Well, boat schooling in this case.
boat schooling,
But
yeah.
so
They're
it
going to
is
have marine
something,
science. No.
yeah. So it is something that, especially after the pandemic, it did became more and more popular. And also on that, materials that are antibacterial are
Oh,
also very
Oh, that's
popular.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
that's interesting. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. There's a piece of me, and this is going to sound really catty, and I probably shouldn't say it, but there is a piece of me that thinks that if I am I think I learned how much LeBron James was worth yesterday, and it's billions. And so if I'm that age and I have that much money, do I have an expectation? But he worked from this level to this level, whereas other people are born with it, right? And if you're born with it and you were always on mommy and daddy's boat, do you automatically assume that something is necessary? And Juliana, when I say this, I laugh when I sell homes and they don't have granite or quartz countertops because there are young people who think that your kitchen doesn't work if you don't have granite or quartz. And you're like, nope, it still works. Let me trust me, But there is this degree of expectation based on how you were raised,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, um, what do you have coming up? Like what's going on in the future?
So for now, well, I've been traveling a little bit. We could not schedule this call sooner because I was actually in China a few
Uh-huh.
weeks back. So today, this shipyard that we are following with Revolution Marine that we are bringing to the US next year, the shipyard is in China. So I'm working closely with them
Wow.
nowadays. And we can expect in a few months from now, in this incredible boat coming with it's a brand new shipyard. It's not brand new, it's a quite new shipyard. They already have several boats in the water, and I was very surprised, very positive surprise with the product, with the quality that they're building there in China. And I'm very happy to be part of this project
Oh,
because
that's good.
being part of this projects in the start, it's very exciting because you still have I think I have so much to give in terms of to improve their product. So
You
I
probably
think it's
do,
gonna be a I
especially here
think
in
it's
the
gonna
States,
be
right?
I think it's gonna be a very nice product coming up, and I'm pretty sure that our US clients are gonna love it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you feel
Wow.
like you're a woman in a predominantly man's world?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what how did,
Absolutely.
and do you think that at this point is making you work harder to build your name and reputation? Or do you think that, because to me, from a design perspective, I would think that, oh yeah, I'd take a woman. Although my brother has
In
good
the
taste. He's good with design.
So in this area, it's very interesting because it depends on how you want to work on this market. If you just want to talk to the clients and choose materials, it's one thing. But I want to guide my clients with the proper set of interiors. So if they request changes, I need to be able to tell them, yes, this is possible, or no, this is not possible because of I don't know, because we have structure, because we have cablings, pipings, we have everything behind that we don't see it.
Mm,
So, and this is where I like to be involved. Sometimes I regret not doing naval engineering, but I love design. But I love to be involved in these parts because if you don't know the skeleton of the boat, how can you develop something? So
yeah,
how can you do the pretty part if you don't know what's going inside of the boat? So this is
that's
very
awesome.
difficult on this world because it's very male, and I did had some very interesting encounters with it's
Yeah,
it's tough, but well,
yeah. Well, clearly
we are
you're
here.
doing it. You're clearly doing it. So
Yes.
I'm gonna wrap it up here, but first I'm gonna tell you, if you get to California, or if you're gonna be longer in Miami than like 24 hours, tell me. I would love,
Okay.
and sooner or later you're gonna be in California, which is way closer for me, but it would be
And
really, really
yeah,
fun to see you. I,
I think in a few months I will be.
And she's more flexible. And before you close it, Donna, I just have to say, as I'm hearing catamaran in my head, and with what I just did, I think there's got to be a downsized modification that we can call a Santa Moran.
a Santa
And
Maria.
and I
Oh,
want
that's
reds
nice.
and greens and whites.
You work on that red, green, and white. Those are Mexico colors, I think. So
That's it.
Okay.
like almondrado or something. So
That'll be awesome.
yeah,
We
yeah.
can even do some reindeers on the
There you go.
dragging the boat. I think
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's a special
We can
you
work on that.
brother Eric, you got to make way more money before we
Yeah,
design
no kidding.
that. So, all right, I'm going to do the exit here and take us out. Juliana, thank you so much for joining. It's lovely seeing you again. I'm so glad that we met, however
Thank you,
bizarre of a
Donna.
meeting it was. And
Yeah,
and please tell Giovanni that I said hi and
I will.
I said hello. So, as we end this episode, I want to thank everybody for listening as we talk a little bit about memories, recent memories, and reflect a little bit on lifestyle and how it relates to real estate. This was a unique episode. And keep in mind that our job here and our hope is that we communicate, educate, entertain, and connect with our listeners. If you're in Arizona, specifically, I'm in Tucson, Southern Arizona, or if you're in South Central Texas near San Antonio, Eric and I are both real estate agents with Keller Williams, and we're happy to help you find a home that's perfect for your family. And remember, if you need help across the world, I just had somebody ask about Italy, Juliana. I'll have to tell you this.
Oh, okay.
Separate story.
Yeah, we can connect you with agents not only here in the United States, but around the world. And remember, it may be simple. It ain't always easy. So until the next time, I'm Donna,
And I'm Eric.
and we are
Real
Real
siblings.
Siblings.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Eric. Thank
All
you
right.
very
Thank you,
much.
Have a good
Juliana.
Thank
night,
you,
I'll need all
guys.
your
guys.
links to put in the show notes.